Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with producer Mr. Hanky discussing being a classically trained musician, how to continue creating smash hits, and how to handle your business as a producer. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the IdOMUSIC podcast, and I'm sitting down with producer, a lot of your favorite hit records.
Yes.
Mr. Hanky.
Hey.
On the beat.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for coming to sit down.
I had to come do music.
Yes. So I'm actually really happy because I just found out you're flying out today to go on an international trip. And you came to see me first.
Yeah, I had to go see you.
I appreciate you. Yeah, so if you guys don't know Mr. Hanky, he's done some of the most recent hits and has been in the industry for some time now. It's from Colonel Loud and DJ Luke. I keep saying Luke Nasty.
That's him.
Luke Nasty.
That's Luke Nasty.
California, to Lil Duval, Smile, which are both really huge radio
smashes.
Yeah. Like, you make smash hits.
Hey, it's a gift.
It's a gift?
It's a gift.
I mean, no, it really is. I feel like there's some sort of formula, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
So you're from here.
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And those that came to the workshop that we've had here at Patchwerk know that we've had a relationship since I was in high school.
Right. No R. Kelly stuff. But,
no R. Kelly stuff. Let me make that very clear. No R. Kelly stuff.
You got to say that now.
Genuine help.
Yes.
On our field shows in marching band.
Yeah.
At Mays High School. Shout out to Mays.
Yeah. Raiders.
I had no idea. Like, literally, I think I ran into you here at the studio. And I'm like, what are you doing here?
I was like, yeah, this is what I really do. I was just, helping y'all out, but this is what I really do. Yeah.
It's so crazy you can meet somebody and then have no idea what they actually do.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And then full circle that I'd be here. You know what I mean?
That was the crazy part for me. I was like, what you doing here?
Right.
Like, oh, this is what I really do. I was like, oh, okay. You do this.
Right. I had no idea, though, like in high school, that would be something I'd be doing. So it's cool to see, how far we both come.
Right.
But how has being from Atlanta influenced the way that you move in this business? Because I think, we're rare that we're here in the city still.
Right.
And successful in what we're doing in music. So.
I mean, mainly, I just have a bigger appreciation for where the city is. A lot of people moved here and kind of capitalized on the tail end of things, but we're born and raised here, so we saw when the whole sound was just booty shake only, then it was only R&B only at the time, then it was full circle. We have a plethora of well-rounded artists and genres, and even on the rock side now. So
yeah,
and now you see the movies and stuff, the filming. So I just have a genuine appreciation for everything the city has going on.
How does there's a certain way that people from Atlanta move,
right?
And it's different from those who may not be from here. So that's more so like what I'm trying to get at. Is there a way that you operate and navigate through the business, being that you're a native from the city?
Yeah, I really try to keep away from a lot of clown stuff. It's because a lot of lame stuff is, because a lot of people move here from different places and they bring a lot of their lame tendencies here. Mm-hmm. And it gives the city a bad name sometimes, but, being here, I really try to move with a level of integrity and do things in a very professional manner as much as possible. You can't prevent things from happening or misunderstandings, but the lame stuff, I really try to keep.
You try to stay away from the cap.
Got to. I mean, the cap is, I try not to use that word because it's so cliche now, but I try to stay away from the cap because it's real and it's believable at times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree. So how did you get into production? I know that, you're a classically trained musician. We talked about you being part of the marching band. They don't know that you've went to Southern, but we'll get into that as well. Why production? What was it that drew you to that?
Mainly because at the time, while I was at Southern, I was DJing, doing a lot of frat parties and clubs in the Louisiana area, in Texas, Houston area. And when I came back here, I did the same thing. But most of your great producers were former DJs. Mm-hmm. because I think that comes from, if you know what the people want to hear, know what to play, you kind of know what to make.
Create,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So you kind of get, it becomes like second nature almost. Like, oh, you get in the studio, somebody, oh, I want a twerk record. You're like, okay, so, this was going on right now. Cool. I need to add these elements and fit it to that person, and it's that simple.
It was an easy transition for you.
Super easy.
Got you.
Yeah.
And I know that, prior to a record like Lil Duval's Smile or Colonel Loud, California, there were plenty of records before that. But there was a struggle as you were coming up into the business. Can you talk about how you stayed motivated during the hard times versus now seeing the level of success you've had?
Mainly, you got to really believe. I know that sounds so cliche, but you really got to just believe that you know what you're doing. You got to believe that you dope, in spite of what's happening. Because there have been plenty of records I had that I thought was going to take off, like the Smile record or any of the other ones, and they didn't for whatever reason. And then you just never know. And it's a thing to where you just have to, stay focused, go to work and treat it like a job, and that's basically what I did. And there've been, like I said, you just never know how the public reacts to things, or DJs or the industry reacts to things. So that has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely. So I told you we'd get to this, is there a formula to creating hit after hit? Like, I know with the records you sample, usually like an older record, and I definitely hear like a lot of the band influence in what you produce. Like it feels like something you march to, or dance to or whatever.
Right.
And they're all like certified radio hits. Like they make sense for radio. Is that what you're doing or thinking about when you're creating?
Definitely. Because there was a time, like during the struggle period, when I was doing, 8, 7 records on people's mixtapes, on live mixtapes back in those eras when nobody getting paid. And so after a while, it stopped making sense for me to, just doing, working harder instead of working smarter. And basically that's what I've been doing for like the last 4 or 5 years. Just going at it, I've seen every aspect of it. To having a good hood record, like the Walk Around the Club, Fuck Everybody record. It was cool, but it didn't compare to the On the Way, California, and the Smile records. You know what I'm saying? So I just got tired, man. I'll be honest. That's just what it came down to. I was like, it's got to start making sense.
Yeah, Walk Around the Club is still a certified classic.
It's a ratchet staple,
Absolutely. What do you mean? That comes on today. I'm walking around the club, F everybody. So yeah, I mean, I do understand that. Do you feel pressured at this point to create the next hit after such huge records like those?
Yeah and no. Because like I said, when I did the last record, the Duval record, I knew it was a good record, but I ain't going into it thinking like I got to make a hit.
How did that happen?
I mean, we basically came in here and
at Patchwerk.
And he was like, he came to do an intro for another record, and while we was sitting around kicking it, I was like, he wanted to do a song for the Smile thing he'd been doing. I was like, yeah, you've been saying it on the internet for like 2 years, and people react to it. So I played one beat that I made like in 2015, and the Smile beat I made that on January 4th, 2016. The actual beat he used.
How do you remember that date?
Cause you got to, man. You got to, for legal purposes, because people like to count like they had something to do with it. But you know how that go.
Right.
But you just gotta. I mean, they're almost like kids. Like you remember your kid's birthday.
Yeah.
So you go back once the song popped, like, oh yeah, I did it on that day. And then you start to remember the mindset that you was in. I actually did On the Way, the beat for On the Way, Smile, California. I did all those like around the same time. So a couple other records that's about to come out, I did around that time too.
Dope.
Yeah.
So go back to the session with Lil Duval. So you play him the second or the actual beat, and then it was just like, it was over from there.
Yeah, I went to the restroom and I came back and he was, he was smoking and doing this little skip dance. And he just said, "I'm living my best life." I was like, "What's that?" Because that part wasn't actually on there at the time, where he just had the smile or whatever, and Snoop's in his verse in, and that was it. And then he went in there saying that. I was like, man, that "I'm living my best life" part sound like something.
Yeah.
And that was it. We moved it around, put it, where it needed to be, and that was it. It took off. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the moment at One Music Fest. There was this guy, actually, that I met post One Music Fest. I don't remember where I met him. And he was giving me a business card. He's a photographer. Him and his wife have like a business together. And I guess on the business cards, there are pictures or photos from like that he took. So they were really like, oh, he's like, you can pick one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking through them, and there's this fisheye photo of Lil Duval at One Music Fest, and he's performing, doing his little skip dance. And I'm, of course, assuming he was performing Smile.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's face, it was just a bunch of like just beautiful brown faces around, and they were all smiling, so happy. And I'm like, wow, this is really a moment.
Right. And I think that's what was beautiful about all the records that I've created. They've all been moments. Mm-hmm. None of them been forced. It's never been, something that we've had to try to force on people, anything. A hit is a hit.
Right.
And you can't market a hit. A hit is just, you can market a really bad record or okay record and it still won't be a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But a hit, it just sells itself.
That's true.
Yeah.
I agree. So how would you say you've grown since the earlier days of navigating your way through the business? What have you learned? How have you learned?
The main thing is just patience, man, and just realizing like everything that's really gonna work out for you is gonna work out for you regardless. I know that sounds...
Were you restless then?
I mean, I have my moments, we all do, when you think you just, your record has done a certain level of performance and you don't think you've gotten the acknowledgement that you deserve. That's just the human side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned to take the emotion out of it and just realize and take it as a business, and just, as long as my name clear on the check.
That's automatic.
Yeah, I'm cool,
You're the second person to say that today. As long as the check clear.
As long as the check clear, the publishing and all that stuff, cool, we good. I mean, I'm on to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you think of a situation looking back now where you realize you could have gone about it maybe differently and gotten better results?
I had one of those moments at least once a week. Like,
what's one big moment though you're just like, bruh, I could have done that so much differently?
So this actually happened last week. Okay. So, and it was funny. It was just a misunderstanding. Everybody's cool, but Rocco had reached out. Me and him connected before the Christmas break. So during that time, I got an Apple iPhone, and some kind of way it reset, and all the numbers then sent through. So it was crazy. He had just hit me out the blue like last week. He's like, "Bro, what you got for me?" So I didn't recognize the number. There was no name or nothing. So I'm just like,
"Who is it?"
I didn't even. And he say, he was like, "Yo, this Rocco, blah blah." He just like, "Yo, what you got for me?" So I was like, I just shot him the normal business stuff. This how much it's gonna cost, because I didn't know who it was, and that we had previously talked. And shout out to Apple for messing up. So literally, he was like, "Man, we ain't even got in the studio yet. You already talking about money." I was like, okay, but I didn't know it was him. So the funny part about it, he's like, "Man, I'm an 8-figure person, da 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 da." And I was like, who is it talking about that 8-figure person? So I thought about it, and it hit me like 2 days later. I went to look back in my DMs for like November, and it was his number. So I hit him back, like, "Damn, bro, my bad. I ain't,
He knows you, man.
It was just like a random person just hit you out the blue, like, "Hey, let's get in the studio," and they ain't say who it was. So I just like,
And what could you have done to just ask who it was?
Yeah, but I ain't want to be like...
Who it is? New phone, who it is?
Right. I ain't want to do that because... And then also, I was in the middle of like doing a whole bunch of stuff at the time. Right. So I was, trying to get song sessions done and all this other stuff. So I didn't really have time to decipher and go through my Instagram, and because I'm working like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a little downtime, like 2 days afterwards, and I looked up the number in my DM, and there it was.
There it was.
Yeah. It was
Silly.
funny. So I had to hit him back like, man, my bad, bro.
Well, he was just like, all right.
Yeah, you know, it was
It
cool.
is what it is.
We said we'll link up.
Y'all still working?
Yeah, we're gonna link up. You know, everybody's schedule busy and stuff now, so we're gonna get back to that.
Bet.
Yeah.
So let's get into the production side of it. First off, what do you use? Like, what is the software that you have to have, the particular environment that you have to be in order to create the way that you do?
Initially, I use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe in, because eventually the song is going to come back to Pro Tools.
Right.
So I've had situations to where I worked on the beat in another program, dropped the files into Pro Tools, and it sound totally different. You know, I don't know if it was the sample rate or whatnot, but anyway, I start off with Pro Tools, and I prefer to be in there by myself because 9 times out of 10 I already got what I want to do in my mind, and then it's kind of, you know, it's cool sometimes to create when the artist is in there, but sometimes, you know, they got their homeboy in there and you playing the beat, and then he like, man, I got a verse for that, you know, and then it just make it an awkward situation.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I just like to be in there by myself, send the beat to the artist or pull up on them, whatever we're gonna do first, and then as that process is going, then, you know, other people could come around. But yeah, Pro Tools, I might use Ableton every blue moon, but mostly Pro Tools.
What instrument you play?
I played trumpet was my principal instrument and piano was my secondary instrument.
So how would you say being trained or classically trained musician affected the way you produce? Like, I mean, I know it affects it a great deal, but in what way? Versus somebody which is a lot of producers that have never picked up an instrument in their life, probably don't really understand music theory or any of that, but they're, you know, just as great. It's
right.
just that they don't have that one thing that you have. Their ear is a little different.
Well, I think the thing about it is sometimes it's really unfair, you know, because you played in the band too. So a lot of times I can see the song. I can see it before I even hit the keys. I can hear what needs to go and all this other stuff. So literally, you know, where somebody else might have to hire somebody to come in and play stuff for them, which I hear people do that a lot, or do the beat for them. Like, by the time they do all that, I done did like 10, 20 of them already and sent them out to artists. And I'm already working on the next project and everything. So it makes it a lot easier. Like, it's almost unfair, you know, and I feel bad for them a lot of times because, you know, we be in the studio and they struggling, and I want to be like,
do this,
yeah, just do that. But, you know, it's kind of hard when you don't understand it, what comes to you naturally. After you know, well, not naturally, but through training, you know, it gets frustrating. But yeah, it's unfair.
So, why do you do music?
Because I don't know what else I would do.
You wouldn't be able to do nothing else. You feel like this was kind of the end all be all.
I mean, when I met you, when I was helping out at Mays, I was contemplating to being a high school band director, and then y'all was crazy, so. I was like,
not crazy.
you grown now. That's all I say. You've grown up, so that's cool, and we're gonna leave it at that. But there was a time.
Yeah, we were crazy.
Yeah, y'all was off the chain. So,
we were still productive.
No, it was cool. Like, I just realized like my time at that had passed. Honestly, it was a great idea to try to do it, but once I played at Southern Band, and it's such a level to where I knew that wouldn't be reached unless I was at Southern.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? So the level of expectation that I had for the music to come out, it would never be met, and it would just be like
frustrating.
Right. It was like, okay, and it wasn't no slight to y'all. It was that's just the kids. I mean, they're still kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody just wasn't as passionate about it as I was. And I was just like, nah, this ain't gonna work. And then you know, I had to be up early in the morning and all that, and that wasn't gonna work either.
Not your lifestyle.
Nah.
Not your ministry.
Nah.
Understood. Okay, so attending Southern, speaking of like just going to college, going to a university, how did it, if it did, help you for what you're doing right now?
Not only a college and a university, but a HBCU.
Facts.
Okay. It prepared me for everything, and nothing against the other universities and everything. But if you went to a HBCU, you know the problems that we have. You know, 2-3 hours in the financial aid line.
Right.
It teaches you humbleness and patience, and everybody, some people gonna have an attitude and they gonna lose your paperwork and you got to start back over from scratch. So, I mean, I go through a lot of that in the music industry. We might do a song in 2016 and you might not get paid till 2018.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it teaches you, I had to learn how to budget. I get a check. I can't just go blow it on, go to Magic and go crazy. I can go, have a little fun, but, once the time, because I don't know when the next check coming in.
Facts.
Yeah, even though you got hit records out, lawsuits might come up that might hold up the money, anything,
Yeah.
So you just got to always prepare for a rainy day. But college is definitely, I definitely encourage anybody who's pursuing music to go to college, whether it's Full Sail or a regular 4-year university, because it teaches you a lot of character, not just on the music side, but just how to deal with people in general, which is the biggest thing in this business people don't understand.
Yeah. I see you all the time, like not like at events and like networking, just really still continuing to connect with people.
Yeah.
Is that a strategy for you, or is it something that you're naturally a social person? Is that how you get your clientele? What's the significance of you networking and being, still in the scene? Because a lot of times producers, especially, would much rather not be. Really anybody don't
Right.
want to be out, but you kind of it's something you have to do.
Right. It's definitely something you got to do, man, because especially with the technology and all the stuff on the social networking and, the smartphones and stuff, like things can be hot. They can be on the top of the food chain like right now and be gone like in a week and a half.
Right.
And you'll be like, what happened to so-and-so? It's like, oh, that's all. Like just like that, So I think that's my biggest motivator for being out, because I see it all the time. And a lot of times you'll go in the studio thinking this is going to be the wave for the next 2-3 months or 6 months, and it's already gone.
Right.
So I'm always constantly trying to see who's next, who's going to be next year, who's still staying at it. And you have to, part of it is, latching on to those artists that's coming up. So when they get here, you don't have no misunderstandings, and it's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How would you, well, let me go back to as a producer handling your business, because you mentioned lawsuits, you mentioned getting credits on things already. What advice would you have to young producers just starting out if they're wondering what things they need to handle as the producer? Are you copywriting your own beats first? Are you handling split sheets within the session? Or you have somebody that handles it for you?
Right. I would tell all young producers coming out, like, invest in yourself, meaning don't try to figure the music business out on Google. Like, they have plenty of entertainment lawyers that you can go down and sit down with. I don't know what the consultation fee is, but pay the money. I don't care if it's $500 for them to, tell you, how to do basic things that you think you know.
Right.
Because the business is always changing. So I tell people all the time, like, I have an attorney. At one time I had a manager and all that good stuff, but, even then with that, things still come up. So I think the biggest thing is this is not YouTube where you can figure out contracts on your own and all. It's always changing, And I forgot the act that they just put into the law recently. So it's a whole nother thing coming up real soon, which is great, but I'm not trying to figure it out through group chat and Google, right?
Right. You need somebody to actually know what they're talking
Yeah, know what they're doing,
And in terms of split sheets, is that something that you're doing in the studio? Is it just, what are you look at me like?
Yeah, because it's a touchy subject, man.
It is.
Like, like I said, the whole situation with Rocco, I don't think it was no big deal, but it just, we was, laughing about it through the text. But it's a sticky situation because you end up vibing, and it's this whole camaraderie. Everybody like, hey, they loving the song. They go on the Instagram Live. You getting followers, and it's everybody lit. And then you just like, but we got to do this. We got to handle the business right now, and it just
can put a dent in the vibe.
It could kill the mood, man. Like just that quick, and especially if you're dealing with like a certain type of street artist who they don't even do paperwork anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, what do you suggest? Like, do you just not do that? Do you talk to the manager? Like, what's the...
Luckily, I've like I said, I have an attorney who handles a lot of that for me. So,
Got you.
what people don't know is, and most of the time I do the beat by myself anyway. So, because I had a situation where I used to try to collab with other producers, and I would do like, the beat would be almost done, and like somebody would like, hey man, you forgot to add the claps in. I was like, I'm about to do it now. And they just put 2 and 4 in there, and then they won't half the song, you know. It's crazy.
After you done majority of the beat.
Right. They add the obvious stuff to it, you know, like the little hi-hat.
Right.
Like, let's go do that anyway, right.
I was going to do that regardless.
So I just started, you know, working, not on purpose. It just kind of happened. I was just like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of times I haven't had the necessity to do a split sheet, because I don't give you the session until we get paperwork done anyway.
Facts.
Yeah. So.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, you know, you've worked on a few things. What's been your favorite project to date? Something that you like was just a memorable experience for you?
I definitely got to go back to like, this is even before, I think this when y'all was still in high school. The Travis Porter era.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel old. Parties. I feel old now. But during that era, that like during the whole Soulja Boy, first it was Soulja Boy, then VIC, then Rich Kids. You know, I was working with all those guys, and I think the city was in such a, it was such in a rich place, but I don't think people really got a chance to really enjoy it because they was too busy trying to analyze it instead of like really, you know, that was the beginning. Yeah, that was the beginning of the old heads versus the new generation. And the old people was like, man, I don't know. I don't like all that singing and auto-tune and singing and auto-tune and snapping and everything. But it was really a golden era that sparked this whole new generation. Mm-hmm. You know, so that era was probably...
That's when folks were still dancing. We still was partying. Like,
was still partying.
Yeah, that's how I started being the party promoter I am.
See, there you go.
Through Travis Porter and Rich Kids. That's crazy. That's what's up. How would you, because like I said, a lot of your records from On the Way to California, like just have a certain vibe and feel to it. It's an energy that you know, you can feel anywhere that you listen to it. How would you define your sound? And is there a certain space that you like to, or like certain artists that you like to work with? Because you worked with the Travis Porters to the Lil Duvals to the, you know what I mean? Like the ranges. It's not
right.
like you're like
stuck
in a box.
Right. No, it's mostly like who gets it. A lot of my records, I already have a concept for them already.
Gotcha.
And it's just a matter of being able to place it with the right artist at the right time. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, the beat for Smile was done in 2016 in January. So I literally sent that beat to every artist that I came in contact with through like a little beat pack, and maybe a couple of them, you know, a couple of them asked about it, but nobody really was serious about it. One artist was serious about it, but you know, the business side didn't work out.
So how often are you in a session with the artist?
Sometimes you could be in there. Maybe, well, since everybody's traveling a lot right now, it's very rare. Mm-hmm. It's not like it used to be, you know.
And my next question is how do you feel about the business today, like the music today?
Okay.
Like versus, I mean, not just the Travis Porter era, but just music from generations ago, and how it is now. You kind of talked about it a little bit. From it being a microwave society, it's like on to the next.
Right.
We do this, we like it for a second, everybody sound like this, and then we go on to the next thing. How does that make you feel as a producer, knowing that you're pretty much still trying to make the artist happy and come to a consensus of how y'all can create something great together? It's
that's the greatest question ever. It's really like it's the biggest, you know, tight rope walk that you could ever do, because you got some artists, they be like, oh man, that's too much music, because everybody's so digital now. It's just really a bunch of sounds that don't really have any type of feeling to it, you know what I'm saying? It's just and it's dope, don't get me wrong, it's dope, but it don't make you really feel anything like the older music that had the real instruments and all that other stuff. So today, that's what you have. That's why it's so easy to let it go because you're not really that attached to it.
Mhm.
It don't really touch you for real. It's more of a vibe than a feeling. You know, so that's really what the whole difference is right now.
That's so true. And you're not the first person that said it. So my question is, how do we resolve this? Do we come to a solution for it? I mean, especially me sitting down talking to a producer, you know, who's made great records that do give you more than just the vibe.
Right.
You know, it's a feeling and a moment is attached to it as well.
Right.
So that works. But I don't know. I just feel like we all are saying the same things, but nobody's really like making any changes towards it.
Well, I mean, because it's become more of a business than an art form, you know. And you got people, you know, they like, man, I don't care, you know, it's streaming good, it's this and that, but they can't tell you a word from the song, you know.
Right.
And some of these people work for these artists and these labels. Everybody's just reading charts now and reading plays and trying to figure out how many streams equal out X amount of money, or if it's certified platinum now. And I think that's what on that verse J. Cole was talking about on a lot, you know, how many faking their streams. It's just a lot of number reading. And it's nothing tangible on the art side. It's crazy.
That's true.
Yeah.
But then you see certain artists like Summer Walker, or that's just the first person that came to mind. But I mean, plenty of people who are creating music that does give you a feeling, and you see how much it affects people.
Right.
And it just makes you feel like, you know, why doesn't everybody come on to the...
I think it's going to get back to that. One thing I've learned is everything happens in cycles in life, especially in music. You know, we had the whole snap era, then we had the thugged out trap era, you know, so now it's coming back to the emotional side, and it's, you know, people starting to party more and more and more, so it's going to come back around.
Well, I recently sat with KP on our last workshop for Patchwerk, and he was talking about how he got his Grammy for All Right with Kendrick, and like how the reason that came about was because of the feeling, because the record wasn't for Kendrick originally. It was like, I think he said Fab or somebody was supposed to do that record.
Oh, wow.
And imagine Fab doing, you know what I mean? It would have been a totally different thing. It probably might, I mean, I'm not wishing that upon him.
Right, no, I get it.
It probably wouldn't have gotten the Grammy because of the, like, I guess I'm saying when you use what's going on in the world and like what's actually happening in the world, I think it makes for a great feeling to the art form, whatever your art form is. But be it film, you see a lot of like people of color winning Oscars and you know, all this stuff because it's a time thing, a timing thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what I think it is, because people can actually feel what the song is actually touching them. And those are the ones that go on to get the Grammys. Absolutely. Like I tell people all the time, you know, shout out to Duval and all that. Like if anybody else had tried to even do that same concept, even if they tried to do do the song verbatim, I don't think it would have did the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. For sure. So I know where Mr. Hanky comes from because of our workshop, but I just want you to tell the story. Where did this name come from?
I got the name at Southern when I got there as a crab in the band, and you know, we had to shave our heads and all our facial hair, and it was like, man, you like Mr. Hanky for South Park. Because I thought I was the shit too, so it kind of...
It worked.
It worked. You know, I was fresh out of Atlanta, fresh out of the East Side. You know, I was still cutting all my words off at the time, so... You know, I was straight out of Atlanta, you know? And I'm walking in the cafeteria, I'm like, man, what y'all doing, boy?
You was wearing tall tees at the time?
All that. All that, man. I'm talking about Air Force Ones with the A hat turned to the side. Yeah, boy. So
fresh.
Yeah, in my mind, it was Throwback Thursday. It was a painful place for me right now.
So Mr. Hanky became Mr. Hanky became your tag.
Yeah, because like the name stuck from the band and everything. So literally, when I was at Southern, a lot of my professors didn't even know my real name. They thought Hanky was my last name.
Really?
Right. So we got, you know, they saying, who was Corey Denard? I'm like,
me.
They're like, no, you're not. Your name is Mr. Hanky. I said, no, That's the name my mother gave me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, since, you know, recent success, do you feel like people still sleep on you, or do you even care?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care. I mean, like being from here, you know, like we've been popping since kindergarten. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you know, it's cool. Whatever. All the new stuff is cool. I ain't worried about it. You know. So nah, I ain't worried about it. As long as the right people know, and I can continue to get work out here, I'm cool. You know.
Well, how would you, or what would you advise to a young producer or even a young artist in terms of like connecting with getting their stuff out there? Like, you've been able to create your own roadmap of, you know, success essentially, where you've connected with a Lil Duval or Colonel Loud or whoever to create these records. But for somebody who's up and coming that have no idea how to even get their foot in the door, what do you suggest to them?
Man, for me it was common sense. I just learned to deal with people who I saw was moving in the right direction. Even if they wasn't moving 100% in the right direction, I was like, okay, cool. These dudes going to the club every night. They spending money. I need to go find a rap over here and, you know, link up with them and see if we can build some stuff. Or you see a promoter like yourself out there like, yo, Sammy, you know, I see you doing this and that or the other. Can I help you out? Can I be a part of your team? You know, what you need me to do. You know, and it's just really about having that kind of spirit about you to, you know, serve, you know, and then that way, you know, you learn everything you need to learn right then and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that tenfold. You have to, I think a lot of times people will come, I mean, they even come to me and I don't know what I can do for them, but just, yo, like, can you do this for my record? And it's just like, it's a two-way street. Like, what are you going to provide in return?
Right.
That I do something for you. So I think that's a great advice. So what's next with you? I heard you said that you got some stuff coming out. Can we talk about it or no?
Yeah, I got a record coming out with Tory Lanez and Jacquees.
Nice.
Rick Ross, you know, Rocco whenever we get linked back up.
Yeah.
Who else? Man, there's so many people. Translead, Project Pat. Translead, Project Pat, Rich the Kid.
What? Like on one record?
On one record.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a scary sight.
Yeah, we doing, you know.
Okay, all right, Mr. Hanky. That's dope. I mean, Ross, caught my attention in general because I feel like you should already have a few Ross records, just the way that you produced and the type of music he likes. Right.
So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff in the works. You know, you just never know when that stuff comes out.
Yeah. Is that frustrating?
Man, that is the most frustrating situation because I literally have a bunch of records that I know that are bigger than all the records I've done. But, you know, you got to wait on a label, you got to wait on an artist, and, you know, this and that. If it's the paperwork, it's crazy.
Yeah, but you'd rather it be completely handled than not.
Right. So, I mean, that's just the frustrating part. Like, you just got to just sit there, you know, everybody else putting their stuff out. And you're just like, I'm going to kill y'all when this come out, you know.
So it's like you like sitting on heat.
Right, you just be like, oh, I just want to send this out to ATL Top 20.
No.
I want to send it out to Hot. I want to send it out to V, you know.
Yeah.
And they'll go crazy with it, but you probably won't get paid. So
exactly,
you might get sued too. So
right. So how is it? How do you think I know you talked about coming back to like a feeling of music, but where do you see music going in like the next couple of years, even in the industry itself? Because you know you got to factor in streaming and you know just the direction and things have changed. Like people aren't buying physical copies of
that's
music.
Crazy.
It's like like I had hella CDs, but like now I don't even think to get a CD. I'm just like, oh, let me go look on Apple Music, see if it's available, or SoundCloud or wherever.
Right. I mean, hopefully, well, I think it's like two parts of it. Like a lot of people complain because of the physical copies aren't being sold, and you do make more off of that in theory. But what people don't realize, what I had to realize, the streams are I actually like the way it is now because once people bought your album back then or your single, whatever, you only got paid that one time when they bought it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So if they play that song every day in their car, you don't get no extra
for them that being played. Right.
So I think it's going in the right direction. And with the new act that they just signed, made law with, you know, songwriters and artists getting more money, it's about time, you know.
Yeah.
Because I saw like you know, you see the royalty statements and like they divide in pennies. Like the rate is like 0.00034%. Every time, like how you get paid 0.0034% of a penny.
Listen.
For every play. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Right.
It's outlandish, especially for the time that y'all are putting into the craft.
Right. And I mean, it's some okay checks, but I mean, you know, the streaming services and the people who own the platforms, the technology side, they're the ones, they're making, oh my God, like if we're getting paid 0.34%, I want to know who's getting $1. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they eat.
They eat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, of course, pros and cons to anything that happens, especially with technology. But I definitely think once we get an idea, an understanding of where it could go, we'll be out of there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this last thing. Aside from what's next, any words of advice for somebody who, because I want people to understand how long you've been in this business. It's not a happened overnight thing, and some people who may not know you and know your story, your journey, wouldn't know that. They'd just be like, oh, he had the Lil Duval record. Like, cool.
Right.
Came out of nowhere.
Right.
But it's not out of, you know, you've really been putting in work. You worked with like Young Jock and back in the day.
A lot of those guys.
Yeah, a lot of the old Atlanta.
Right.
So to the producer that was once a young Mr. Hanky, what would you tell them now, like, to think about?
Man, just really don't listen to the interviews, cause it's a whole bunch of cap in the interview. Like it's cap on top of cap. Like they just, you know,
listen to this interview though.
Yeah, listen to this. Listen to what I'm saying though, cause this ain't cap, none of it. But the thing about it is, you know, everybody has the same. You know, I did it myself. You know, we did this straight out the mud. You know, I ain't asked nobody for a handout and all that stuff. And it just popped overnight. That's not how it happens. I tell everybody, artists, you know, record labels, execs, you know, indie labels, like, be prepared for the long haul. Because things could pop very, very quick, but really would you want them to pop overnight?
Right.
Just starting out, because you really don't know the business. You may think you know, but you aren't prepared to go in a room with a label who's been doing this for 50 years and you don't know the lingo, and next thing you know, they talk you out of your publishing because you really don't understand what publishing is. So take your time. That's the biggest thing. Take your time and stop thinking you know every damn thing, because you don't. I don't know everything. I tell people that all the time. I learn something new every month, whether something's changed or whatnot. It's an always evolving business. So just, you know, keep that in mind. When you think you know something, just realize you don't know anything. And you'll stay afloat if you keep that hunger for the knowledge.
Would you say that your connections to or relationships have helped further you to where you are now?
Definitely. I mean, it's all about relationships. Either even good or bad relationships. There's no such thing as a bad one. I mean, it might be people you might not do business with anymore, but to know, you know, you learn something out of that situation, and you learn how to move around those certain type of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you mentioned the both the label and exec side a lot. So I'm wondering, like, have you been able to build those type of relationships, and I guess being attached to labels, or artists being attached to labels?
Yeah, I think about it. I had to realize, like, what everybody has. I had to stop taking a lot of stuff personal, because I had to realize everybody's main job in the music business isn't what they think it is. Everybody's job is to keep their job. So when you have to look at it like that, like, they will do whatever they need to do to keep their job.
That's true.
Whether it benefits you, the artist, or whatnot. You know, you see artists get signed to labels all the time, and, you know, they have these horror stories about how nobody knows what to do with their project. That's because mainly everybody's trying to keep their job. Like, None against you, but on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not finna take that risk, put their name on the line, and you flop. And then they out on the street.
Facts.
Yeah, so that's just the main part about it from the label and exec side. Because it's cutthroat in their own buildings. You know, so you have to understand, like, it's an all-out, you know, situation. You know, everybody's trying to get that hit. And they don't care, you know, who they step on to get it. You know, a hit is a hit. Everybody needs a hit.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Well, I'm excited for what you have coming up. I think you shared a lot of gems with us. This is the second time I'm able to sit down with you, so I appreciate it. And have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have good. I'm gonna have big fun.
First time in South Africa?
Yeah, it's gonna be my first time in Africa. Period.
Oh,
so,
Africa.
Yeah. So I think as Black people, you know, our counterparts, you know, they go to Europe, their hometown, their homelands all the time, and you know, very rarely we go to, you know, our own where we come from, basically because of stigma. You know, a false stigma or propaganda that was put out there, like everybody's just over there, you know, poor and with flies and stomach and starving.
Right.
Really, it's really like on some Wakanda shit.
Wealth.
So, yeah, wealth on top of wealth. So, I'm going to Wakanda.
I'm going to Wakanda, period. That's what's up. I hope y'all have fun. Definitely enjoy, take lots of pictures so we can see.
Yes.
And, tell them where they can find you so they can keep up with it.
Yeah, so y'all can follow me on Instagram, all my social media at @MrHankyBeat, AMRHANKYBEAT. Website, MrHankyBeat.com, same thing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And as always, you all can tune into this podcast and follow us on social media at IDM Podcast and myself at Sammy Approved. Thank you again, Mr. Hanky.
Hey, thank you, Sammy Approved.
Peace.
Sonically superior.